respected. If you have ever wondered why some people seem to attract opportunities, money, love, and confidence almost effortlessly while others work just as hard and feel stuck, overlooked, or defeated, this message is for you, because what you are about to hear has the power to completely change how you see yourself, your mind, and the invisible forces shaping your life. Let me begin with the simple truth that most people never hear clearly. Your life is not happening to you by accident. It is happening in response to you, to your thoughts, to your emotions, to the patterns you repeat every single day, often without even realizing it. And this is where the law of attraction truly begins, not as magic, not as wishful thinking, but as a deeply human process rooted in how your brain works, how your body feels, and how your subconscious mind directs your behavior. Years ago, I met someone who changed the way I understood success. This person did not come from wealth. They were not born into privilege. In fact, their early life was full of uncertainty, fear, and self-doubt. Yet within a few years, everything changed. Their income multiplied, their confidence grew, their relationships improved. When I finally asked what caused the shift, they didn't mention luck. They didn't mention shortcuts. They said something that sounded almost too simple to be true. They said, "I changed what I expected from myself and from life, and life adjusted to meet those expectations." That sentence stayed with me, because expectation is not just hope. Expectation is a signal, and the law of attraction responds not to what you want occasionally, but to what you consistently expect, feel, and act upon. Most people misunderstand the law of attraction. They think it's about sitting quietly, visualizing a dream, and waiting for the universe to deliver it. But that is only a tiny piece of the picture. The real power lies in understanding that your brain is constantly filtering reality. Every second, millions of bits of information surround you, but you only notice a small fraction. Why? Because your brain is wired to look for what it believes is important, familiar, or necessary for survival. When you consistently think thoughts of lack, fear, or unworthiness, your brain becomes trained to notice evidence that supports those thoughts. You see problems more than possibilities. You notice rejection more than opportunity. Over time, this becomes your reality, not because the world is against you, but because your mind has learned what to look for. Now here's where it gets deeply personal. Think about a time in your life when you felt confident, hopeful, and motivated. Maybe it was a short season, maybe it didn't last long, but in that period, didn't things seem to flow more easily? Conversations felt smoother, ideas came faster, you took action without overthinking. That was the law of attraction in motion, not as mysticism, but as alignment between your thoughts. Emotions and behavior. Your thoughts create pictures in your mind. Those pictures trigger emotions in your body. Those emotions influence your actions, and those actions shape your results. Repeat this cycle long enough, and it becomes your identity. And once something becomes your identity, you defend it, even if it's holding you back. This is why so many people say they want success, yet unconsciously attract struggle. They want abundance, yet feel undeserving. They want love, yet expect abandonment. The law of attraction does not respond to what you say you want. It responds to what you believe you are worthy of and what you emotionally rehearse every day. Let me tell you a story that illustrates this perfectly. There was a young man who dreamed of starting a business. He read books, watched videos, and talked about his vision constantly. But every time an opportunity appeared, he hesitated. Deep down, he believed success was for other people, not for him. Without realizing it, his thoughts created fear, his fear created hesitation, and his hesitation created missed chances. He wasn't attracting failure intentionally. He was attracting familiarity. Now contrast that with someone who may not feel fully ready, but believes growth is possible. This person still feels fear, but they don't identify with it. They take action anyway. Their brain starts to collect evidence of progress. Small wins build confidence. Confidence strengthens belief. Belief fuels expectation, and expectation shapes reality. This is the true foundation of the law of attraction. It begins within. It begins with awareness, with the courage to observe your own thinking without judgment, with the willingness to ask yourself, what am I consistently focusing on, and what kind of future does that focus create? You see, your subconscious mind does not understand jokes, wishes, or someday. It understands repetition and emotion. Whatever you repeatedly think about with emotional intensity gets stored as a blueprint, and your behavior follows that blueprint faithfully. This is why changing your outer world without changing your inner world feels exhausting and temporary. The good news is this. The moment you become aware of this process, you gain choice. You are no longer a victim of old patterns. you become the designer of new ones. And the law of attraction shifts from something mysterious to something practical, something you can work with every single day. As we go deeper, you'll begin to see how to train your brain to expect more, how to emotionally align with the future you want, and how to take inspired action without forcing or burning out. This is not about pretending everything is perfect. It's about understanding how your mind creates momentum and learning how to guide that momentum in a new direction. Right now, I want you to pause for a moment and ask yourself a powerful question. If my thoughts today were shaping my future, would I be excited to live in it? That questio and alone can awaken a new level of awareness. And awareness is always the first step toward transformation. This is only the beginning. What we have uncovered so far is the foundation, the unseen mechanism behind attraction, results, and personal growth. In the next part, we will explore how emotions act as magnets, how your nervous system influences what you attract, and why feeling is more powerful than hoping. Part 2 begins where real transformation starts, not in your thoughts alone, but in how your body feels every single day. Because thoughts may start the signal, but emotions are what amplify it. Emotions are the language your subconscious mind understands most clearly, and they are the force that turns intention into attraction. Think about this for a moment. Have you ever noticed how two people can want the same goal, say financial freedom, yet have completely different results? One moves forward, meets the right people, notices opportunities, and somehow keeps progressing. The other feels stuck, overwhelmed, and drained, even though they are trying just as hard. The difference is not intelligence, it's not luck, it's emotional alignment. Your body is constantly sending signals to your brain about what is safe and what is dangerous. When you feel fear, doubt, or stress around a goal, your nervous system interprets that goal as a threat. And when something feels like a threat, your brain does exactly what it was designed to do. It pulls you back. It creates excuses. It encourages comfort over growth, not because it hates you, but because it wants to protect you. Now, here's the part most people never realize. You can say affirmations all day long, but if your body is emotionally rehearsing fear, disappointment, or unworthiness, the law of attraction will follow the emotion, not the words. Emotion is the magnet. Feeling is the fuel. I once worked with someone who desperately wanted to earn more money. On the surface, they were positive. They spoke about abundance. They visualized success. But every time they checked their bank account, their chest tightened. Their breathing became shallow. Their body remembered years of struggle. That emotional memory was louder than their conscious desire. So no matter how much they hoped, they kept attracting the same financial patterns. When we slowed down and worked on changing how their body felt around money, everything shifted. Not overnight, not magically, but steadily. As their emotional relationship with money softened, their actions changed. They negotiated better. They followed up more confidently. They stopped underpricing themselves. And the results followed naturally. This is why the law of attraction is not about forcing positivity. It's about becoming familiar with elevated emotional states before the results arrive. Confidence, gratitude, calm certainty, self-trust. These emotions send a powerful signal to your subconscious mind that you are safe to grow. Your nervous system plays a critica. L role here. If you are constantly stressed, rushed, or overwhelmed, your body is stuck in survival mode. In survival mode, your brain narrows its focus. Creativity drops. Patience disappears. Long-term thinking shuts down. You may still work hard, but you won't work wisely. And you will attract situations that keep you in that same loop of urgency and exhaustion. But when you learn how to regulate your emotions, when you learn how to pause, breathe, and shift your internal state, something incredible happens. Your brain opens up. You start seeing options you couldn't see before. You respond instead of reacting. And those subtle changes compound over time. Let me share a moment that changed my own understanding of this. There was a period when everything seemed to be going wrong. Projects stalled. Plans fell apart. No matter how much effort I put in, the results were slow. One day, I realized I was waking up every morning already frustrated, already expecting resistance. That expectation was shaping my emotional state before the day even began. So, I made a simple decision. Before checking my phone, before engaging with the world, I spent a few minutes intentionally generating the feeling of gratitude and certainty. Not because everything was perfect, but because I wanted to train my nervous system to experience safety and confidence first. At first, it felt artificial, but repetition changed it. My body began to recognize those emotions as familiar, And once something feels peace is the environment you place yourself in. Your identity is constantly reinforced by what you consume, who you listen to, and the conversations you participate in. If you surround yourself with fear-based thinking, your nervous system stays alert. If you immerse yourself in growth-oriented language, possibility becomes familiar. This is why mentors, books, and conversations matter so deeply. They temporarily borrow you a new identity until you build your own. When you hear someone speak with certainty about growth, abundance, and possibility, your brain begins to mirror that state. And over time, it becomes yours. The law of attraction is not about becoming someone else. It's about remembering who you were before fear narrowed your vision. It's about releasing identities built on survival and stepping into identities built on growth. Right now, I want you to reflect quietly. Who have you been identifying as? The struggler, the overthinker, the one who almost succeeds? And more importantly, who are you ready to become, even if it feels unfamiliar at first? Because the moment you begin to identify with growth, learning, and possibility, your actions shift. Your emotions stabilize. Your focus sharpens. And life begins to respond differently. In the next part, we will bring everything together. Thoughts, emotions, identity, and action. You'll learn how to live in alignment with the law of attraction daily, without pressure, without pretending, and without waiting for the perfect moment. Part 4 is where understanding turns into embodiment, where the law of attraction stops being something you think about and becomes something you live. Because knowledge without application changes nothing. And the purpose of all this awareness is not to impress you, but to empower you. By now, you've seen how thoughts begin the signal, how emotions amplify it, and how identity locks it in place. The final piece is action. Not forced action, not desperate effort, but aligned action. The kind of action that feels natural when your inner world and outer goals are in harmony. Here's a truth that often surprises people. The law of attraction does not replace action. It refines it. When you are aligned internally, you don't push harder, you move clearer, you take fewer steps, but they are more effective. You stop chasing everything and start responding to what feels right. Think about the moments in your life when things worked out unexpectedly. You met the right person at the right time. You made a decision that felt calm and confident. You followed an idea without overthinking, and it led somewhere meaningful. That was aligned action. Your subconscious mind, emotions, and logic were working together. Most people wait for motivation before they act. But motivation is unreliable. Alignment comes first. When your identity shifts, action follows naturally. You don't need to force yourself to behave like a confident person. You begin to behave that way because it feels congruent with who you are becoming. This is why small daily rituals matter so much. Not because they are impressive, but because they reinforce identity. When you take time to center yourself in the morning, you tell your nervous system that you are in control. When you reflect instead of react, you tell your subconscious mind that growth is safe. These signals compound. Let me share one final story that ties everything together. There was a man who spent years searching for the perfect strategy. He believed once he found the right system, everything would change. But no system worked for him consistently. When we looked deeper, we discovered he didn't trust himself. Every action was taken with doubt. Every decision carried fear of failure. So, we stopped chasing strategies and focused on self-trust. We worked on emotional regulation, identity shifts, small promises kept daily. Over time, his confidence stabilized. And only then did strategies start working. Not because they changed, but because he did. This is how the law of attraction operates in real life. It doesn't reward effort alone. It responds to coherence. When your thoughts, emotions, identity, and actions align, life responds with momentum. Now, here's something crucial. Alignment does not mean life becomes perfect. Challenges will still appear, but you will experience them differently. Instead of seeing obstacles as proof you're failing, you see them as feedback. Instead of collapsing under pressure, you adapt. That inner stability is what attracts long-term success. You stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, what is this teaching me? That shift alone changes your entire relationship with life. You move from resistance to curiosity, from fear to learning. And the law of attraction reflects that openness back to you. Another powerful aspect of aligned action is letting go of constant control. When you trust yourself, you don't need to micromanage every outcome. You set intention, you take inspired steps, and you remain open. This openness allows opportunities to appear in unexpected forms. Many people miss what they are attracting because it doesn't arrive in the package they expected. But when you are aligned, you recognize opportunity quickly. Your intuition sharpens. Your decisions become cleaner. As you listen to this, I want you to realize something important. You don't need to change your entire life today. You only need to change the direction of your focus. One thought, one feeling, one small action taken with awareness. That is how momentum begins. The law of attraction is not a one-time event. It is a relationship you build with your mind, your body, and your future. And like any relationship, it grows stronger with attention and honesty. You are not broken. You are not behind. You are learning. And the moment you take responsibility for your inner world, you reclaim your power to shape the outer one. We have now completed the 4 parts of this journey: the understanding, the emotion, the identity, and the action. All that remains is to bring it home emotionally, to anchor this message in your heart in a way that stays with you long after this video ends. As we come to the end of this message, I want you to remember something deeply important. You are not here by accident. Your dreams are not random. And the quiet feeling inside you that says there must be more is not a mistake. It is a signal. The law of attraction is not about controlling the universe. It is about understanding yourself. It is about realizing that every thought you repeat, every emotion you dwell in, and every story you tell yourself is shaping the direction of your life. Once you see that, you can never unsee it. You don't need to wait for confidence to arrive before you begin. Confidence is built through action taken with awareness. You don't need to wait for fear to disappear. Fear loses its power when you stop identifying with it. And you don't need to become someone else to attract a better life. You only need to let go of the versions of you that were built to survive, not to thrive. There will be days when you fall back into old patterns. That doesn't mean you've failed, it means you're human. Growth is not linear. Transformation is not loud. Most of the real change happens quietly, in the moments when no one is watching, when you choose a new thought instead of an old one, a calmer response instead of a reactive one, a hopeful perspective instead of a familiar fear. Your future is not created in one dramatic breakthrough. It is created in small, consistent choices, in how you speak to yourself, in what you focus on when things feel uncertain, in whether you see challenges as proof of limitation or invitations to expand. When you align your thoughts with intention, your emotions with trust, your identity with growth, and your actions with purpose, life begins to meet you differently. Opportunities feel closer, solutions appear faster. And even when the outcome isn't immediate, you feel grounded, centered, and capable. The law of attraction is always working. The question is not whether it works. The question is whether you are working with it consciously or unconsciously. From this moment forward, you get to choose. So, take a breath, feel the weight of this moment, and decide gently but firmly that you are ready to become more intentional with your inner world. Because when you change what you consistently think, feel, and believe, you don't just change your circumstances, you change who you are becoming. And when you change who you are becoming, everything else eventually follows. Thank you for listening.